Well, let's bring in now senior analyst at the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, Malcolm Davis. Malcolm, great to see you. Look, we've seen these pictures emerge of decommissioned Taipan helicopters being dismantled. This is after they were ruled too dangerous after a fatal crash last year. But Ukraine wanted us to donate these choppers to their war effort. They could have even used some of their parts. Instead, they're being turned into scrap. Why weren't they sent as Zelensky requested? And, do you think this is disappointing?
This is a huge wasted opportunity by the government. These helicopters, if they'd been transferred to the Ukrainians, could have firstly assisted the Ukrainian army with battlefield mobility to get their troops from one location to another quickly to defend against Russian attacks. And secondly, they could have, and more importantly, they could have been used for medevac to save the lives of Ukrainian soldiers that have been wounded. But instead, what we're seeing is these helicopters being ripped apart, destroyed and buried. I mean, it's a huge wasted opportunity by the government.
Yeah, especially when Ukraine has been asking the Australian government for so much assistance in terms of military support, and this was such an easy one to give. Look, Malcolm, I want to ask you about the US election. We're seeing reports in the newspapers that the Prime Minister is being urged now to start developing ties with Republicans, and Kevin Rudd is reportedly starting to forge relationships with the Trump team in anticipation of him getting back in the White House. This didn't happen last time.
No, I think there's a recognition that there's a real chance that Trump certainly will get the nomination and has a real chance of winning the election. And I think the US-Australia alliance is so vital to our security that it's incumbent upon us to actually recognise that we do have to work with the Americans, even if we disagree with the president that's in office at the time on many issues. And so I think it's really important that we work with incoming Republican officials, work with the US Department of Defense and the national security community, and maintain a stable US-Australia strategic alliance. Because if we don't, if we basically essentially walk away from that, then we are far more vulnerable to attack or to coercion from the likes of China. And our only response then would be to dramatically boost defence spending well above what it is now, from 2.0% right now to maybe 5 or 6% in that scenario. So it's in our interest to work with the Trump administration.
Yeah, and already we should be, and we're being urged to increase our defence spending as it is, even with the US support. Malcolm Davis, thank you so much for your time this evening.